The first thing we talked about in this lesson was identifying linear equations. And so what we're going to do is we're going to first say, are these equations linear? So yes or no. If it's no, you can just stop. If it's yes, then you're going to have to put it in standard form. So let's first talk about, is it linear? There are 4 things you're looking for to tell if it's not linear. Not linear. All right, so the 4 things you're looking for is first, variables multiplying together. So that would be something like x, y. So variables multiplying together. Second is exponents. So if you see something like y squared or x squared, something like that. Third is variables on the bottom of fractions. So something like 1 over x or 6 over y, anything like that. And then finally, the last thing is roots, also known as square roots. Square roots. So something like the square root of x or the square root of y, something like that. So if you see any of these 4 things, then the answer is no, it's not linear. So let's take a look. First we have the first one we have x, y equals 6. So right here off the bat you see x, y. Well, that's 2 variables being multiplied together, so the answer would be no, it's not linear. And then you just stop. There's nothing else to do. But on 2 and 3, you'll notice we don't see any of those special things. So since they're both linear, we don't see any of these things going on. So since they're linear, we need to now put them in standard form. Now remember, standard form is written ax plus by equals c. Now don't get confused by all this a, b, and c stuff. All this really means is that the x and the y are both on the left side of the equation, and on the right side of the equation is your constant, or the number by itself. So get the x and y on the left, get the constant on the right. Now after that, there are 3 things that we look for, or 3 questions we ask ourselves. But let's first just get everything in its proper spot. So let's take a look at number 2. We have y equals 2 minus 3x. So the y is on the left, that's correct. The 2, which is the constant, it doesn't have a variable, it's on the right. So that's correct. The only thing that's out of place is the 3x. So all we're going to do is just add the 3x over. And remember, because it's ax, so the x has to come first. That'd be 3x equals, or sorry, let me back up. 3x plus y equals 2. All right, now that everything's in its proper spot, we ask ourselves 3 questions. First, is my x negative? So look at my x. Is it negative? No, it's not, so I don't have to do anything. If it was negative, I would change the sign of everything. Second question is, do I have fractions? Well, obviously I don't have any fractions. If I did, I would multiply everything by the denominator of whatever the fraction is, the denominator being the bottom number. And then finally, can I simplify? So you look at your 3 coefficients, your 3 numbers, and you ask yourself, can you simplify all 3 of those by the same thing? We have 3, 1, and 2. Obviously, you cannot simplify that, so that would be your answer. 3x plus y equals 2. All right, let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, we have 5x equals y minus 4. So the x is in the right spot, the 4 is in the right spot, the y is not. So I got to move the y, so I'm going to subtract y over. And again, x comes first. All right, 5x minus y equals negative 4. Again, ask yourself the 3 questions. Is my x negative? No. Do I have fractions? No. And can I simplify? 5, negative 1, and negative 4. I can't simplify that, so I'll leave it alone, and that's my answer. So that's how you identify linear equations and then put them in standard form. Let's move on to the next section.